This is the Fearless Finance Podcast with Amy Ross. Amy and the team at Gold Shield Wealth are dedicated to helping adults plan for and manage the hurdles they may face on their journey to retirement. Get more, including contact information in the show notes. Now, Fearless Finance with financial advisor Amy Ross.
Amy, we're going to get into the full body scan of your retirement plan. And you've said before that when you put these strategies together, that one of the things that you do is you work the numbers backwards. And you've said before you're a math nerd. So explain that to me, Amy.
It's called reverse engineering, Mark. Reverse engineering.
What does it mean?
Well, it probably means different things to different people. But to me, what that means, generally what I get, because I work in an area or live in an area where a lot of people retire here. I think I added 9 families this month already.
Nice.
That all retired from the Northeast. And so for me to know what's going on, I have to reverse engineer what the previous person managing their money has done or the lack of management.
Okay.
Right. So I have to see where everything is at, analyze that, play detective with it to know where the deficits are, right? Some things are good that I find, some things are bad, some things are just not age appropriate. So that's where you have to look at where things are, look at the numbers, and then reverse engineer it a lot of ways back to what it needs to be for that decade, right? For retirement itself.
What do you find one of the biggest problems that adults have as they put a plan together?
There's a big disconnect. A lot of people haven't saved enough. A lot of people have no idea, how well diversified their portfolio is. They're just very disconnected a lot of times. Generally, there's rarely a time that I sit down with someone and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
you got this going on.
Right.
I can usually find ways to make it better. And it's it's more so just the knowledge that I have and, that I've learned and things that I've learned just with experience, research, those type of things that I know more than most people do because I study it. That's what I do for a living. So a lot of times people think that they're doing fine, and they do fine. But when you're actually into retirement, you don't want to be just doing fine. You want to be doing excellent, right? At least have your plan in place.
Well, I want my financial advisor. I want you to know more than me. I want my doctor to know more than me.
And that's what I tell people that all the time. They're like, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I'm like, no, I'm glad you don't know because I would be unemployed. Gold Shield Wealth would not exist if everybody walking around Myrtle Beach knew exactly what I know.
That's so true. And
so, right?
But there is a misconception because a lot of people feel like, well, Amy, I'm a little afraid to call because of that. I've made mistakes in the past because I don't know what I don't know. So I don't want you to get mad at me because of, this situation I got myself in.
I never get mad. I am the type of person that if you come to me for help, I will reach out my hand to you and all you have to do is take it. I love fixing problems. I do. It gives me such joy to be able to take mud. Yeah. And make clay of it and make something beautiful with it. A lot of times we get a big old pile of mud, but what we do with it, that's when we have fun. We can fix it. Most of the time there are ways to fix it, but it'll never get fixed if you don't reach out for help.
And how do we reach out to you?
Well, you call me at 843-585-5223 and just say, hey, I need Amy's help. I want her to take a look at things and we'll sit down. We'll have a heart-to-heart about where you've been, where you're at, and where you want to go.
You can say, hey, I've got some mud and we need to make some clay.
Yeah, I got some mud I want Amy to look at. My staff will know. They'll know what you mean.
There was a Northwestern Mutual study that says retirement planning comes down to 3 simple questions. What's coming in, what's going out, and what have you saved?
It is really that simple. But then also, there are different subsets of each of those categories. But absolutely, what's coming in is hugely important. Some people want to retire, so they try to convince themselves that the Social Security check coming in is going to suffice. And it might suffice for today, but it probably won't suffice 5 years from now.
Right.
Or 10 years from now. So you also have to look at what's going out. Another huge misconception is people are like, well, I'm not going to spend as much money in retirement. Bull, you will. You'll spend more. A lot of times you'll spend more because there's stuff to do. You don't want to just sit in your house doing nothing, broke. That's how people become unhappy, angry, and they age a lot faster.
Like the clip we played at the beginning of the show, you have to tell people, go spend your money. Why do people have that fear of spending their hard-earned money?
Because everybody is afraid of going broke in retirement. And think about it. If you're 90 and you're broke, what are you going to do? What do? I work with a lot of clients that have no family. how do you, so it's a valid fear. And I honor that fear. I don't try to ever downplay it because it is a valid fear. However, some people just need that permission. I have one lady here in Myrtle Beach. I love her to death, but she sent me a picture. She wants a golf cart now. I've given her permission to go spin, and now she's buying a golf cart.
Love it.
I sent her one the other day. It's a 57 Chevy golf cart. It is adorable. I'm like,
beautiful.
You need this one. You think you should get this golf cart. But it's just, a lot of times people feel nervous. They need that teammate that I am to say, listen, we've discussed this. We've planned for it. We've budgeted it in, right? We've planned for it. Go do it. Go spend your money. You do not want to be the richest man in the cemetery or woman.
That's right. And you often say, go spend that money instead of leaving money to the kids or the grandkids. Go create memories and experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if your family, a lot of times if you ask them and have a true heart to heart, they would rather have those memories that they make with you versus a lot of times the huge tax issue you leave them with.
Right. I want to talk real quick to that young lady you were speaking about that wants to get the golf cart. And let me talk to you, ma'am, because as someone who has a golf cart, I bought mine. It's been 6 years ago. I bought a golf cart. When my dad passed away.
That's what you spent some of your money on,
that was
right?
A little bit of
I
my
remember
inheritance.
you telling me that.
Yep. I spent it on the golf cart, put the rest of it away. I was like, this is mine. This is the one thing that I want. That has been one of the best investments I've ever had.
You talk about that golf cart a lot. So I do know that your dad smiles from heaven, looking down and be like, yeah, that was some money well spent right there. That brought him a lot of joy. That's what life is about, is joy. And, if you have the money sitting there and you want to go spend it, you worked all those years. Most people have been saving 30 and 40 years. And then a lot of times the last 10 years are like, oh, crap, I haven't saved enough. So now I got to kick it into high gear.
Yep.
So they've really sacrificed. And so now it's like, we're here. We made it to retirement. I'm going to reel you in. If you're going to, buying golf cart after golf cart and spending too much money, that's my job to say, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe we're going a little bit too far. But that's why having a good relationship with my clients is important, because they know that the advice I give comes from my heart.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to hurt themselves, but I want them to just maximize life, because God gave us one. Wear it out.
Amen.
Did you save any inheritance money for the next golf cart by chance?
No, my goal is to make this one last. I will drive this bad boy until the wheels fall off, and then I'll see what happens.
I'm
after
surprised you haven't already. Seems like you're on it all the time. Do
Well,
you drive it to work?
I have driven it to the Mexican restaurant.
Oh, well, there you go.
There it is. 90% of the time on my golf cart, I'm just being the neighborhood Uber for my degenerate friends after the pool party who's been a little overserved.
That's good, though. Yeah. Everybody needs a neighborhood Uber.
It's a great investment. And we had a great conversation last week about the power of an annuity and how it could benefit your overall portfolio. If you missed any of that, go stream the Fearless Finance podcast at goldshieldwealth.com. But let's spend a couple of seconds kind of recapping how an annuity could really benefit our overall plan, Amy.
An annuity, whether it is bought for just principal protection and growth or principal protection and income, can give retirees that mind to go buy that golf cart, right? Because in an annuity, it's going to protect your downside. If it's a fixed indexed annuity or a fixed annuity, if the world implodes and the market crashes, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The annuity will keep that bottom, that zero floor. You won't go backwards based on the market. So a lot of times people going into retirement to feel confident to go spend that money, we need to segregate some of that money into safer buckets, the now and the near decade, to where you're not eroding into your savings if it's down, if your equities are down.
And there's a reason they call you the annuity queen, because you really do. You take pride in your knowledge of annuities. You love helping people out.
I do. But I like to dissect things. I enjoy that. And I love to review them for people who have had them. I get a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I bought this, and the person who sold it to me, I haven't heard from them, and then they're not making any money. And when I look at it, and then just to see the look on their faces when they're like, oh, thank God, help is on the way. I almost feel like I'm a savior, like I'm showing them, like, okay, here's what you have, but there's a way out. You can do what's called a 1035 exchange, annuity to annuity, just to change insurance products or companies. So to me, that's important. I review my own clients' annuities I've personally put their money in. I review those every single year to make sure that annuity is still fitting the need and doing what it needs to do for my client. That's very important. Annuities are not crock pot. You know Sid Mullins, right? Good old Sid.
Oh, great guy.
Sid is who has taught me so much about annuities, because he's as nerdy as I am. and he likes to dissect them too. But the one thing that he said it one day and it stuck with me. He's like, Amy, Annuities aren't crock pots. They're not set it and forget it stuff. And I'm like, they're just not. You know, they need to be looked at, analyzed, because just because you're not losing your money in the market, well, that's good. Mm-hmm. But there's so much more to it than that. You still want to try to outpace some taxes and inflation as well.
So if somebody just wanted to have a conversation with you about an annuity, is that an option, or do we have to talk 401ks? We have to talk legacy. What if I come to you, Amy, and I just say, I just want some guidance on an annuity?
No, I get a lot of that. I mean, people sometimes just pop on in here and ask, but give me a call at 843-585-5223 and tell Rob at the front desk, say, hey, listen, I want Amy to review my annuity. And I'll be happy to do that for you, because that's important. You need to look at it even beyond if you want to reposition it or upgrade it or not. This is the time in your life that you should know what you have and how to utilize it. Mm-hmm. Any insurance product, whether it's life insurance, health insurance, all of that. That's another thing, you know, my husband does, Andrew, he analyzes people's Medicare to make sure that the Medicare plan that they're in is still suitable for the next year for them. So it's the same concept. People just forget that annuities are actually insurance products. They are. At their core, that's what they are.
But they're a great opportunity for income in retirement.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay, some more information about that, 843-5855. Boy, my Southern twang. When I talk to you, my twang.
I know I can't talk either today.
But it's like when I talk to you, my twang comes out. And I don't think I have a Southern twang, but then I'll talk about give Amy a call at 843-585-5223.
I rub off on people, Mark.
GoldShieldWealth.com. We need to stop saying a nice cup of coffee when you sit down with Amy and the team at Gold Shield Wealth. You need to have some sweet tea in there.
We've got sweet tea, we've got coffee, we've got iced coffee, you name it, we've got it.
And by the way, it's not soda, it's not pop, it's Coca-Cola. You can get you a Coca-Cola.
I actually call it pop.
You call it pop?
Yeah.
Amy, I'm done with you. It's Coca-Cola around.
But you weirdos down there in Georgia, everything's a Coke, and everything is not a Coke.
Everything it is. No.
A Sprite is not a Coke.
Can I get you a Coke?
A Sunkist is not a Coke.
What would you like? I'd like a Sprite. Can I get you Coca-Cola? Sure. What kind? I'd like a Mountain Dew. Everything
so
is
confusing.
A Coca-Cola.
Everything is a Coke.
Home base is here in Atlanta, so they've been very good to us in this city for a long time.
They've indoctrinated you guys is what they've done.
I'll ask for Coca-Cola and get a hot coffee out of it. All right, 843-585-5223, goldshieldwealth.com to meet Amy and the team. Hey, let's talk about that for a second. You were just mentioning how you really dissect a retirement strategy or a portfolio, and you call it the full body scan of your retirement plan. Amy, what exactly does that mean?
You know, I want to know what you're invested in. I want to know if you've got mutual funds, if you've got ETFs. I want to know what those funds are containing. I want to know what kind of fees you're paying. A lot of people, there are hidden fees and things that you have no idea exist. So I analyze all of that. I want to see what's going on and then look and see, okay, here's how it's structured now. Does it meet the goals and objectives of what they need for today? Mm-hmm. And then we work together to polish it up. Another way that I kind of describe it too is, you know, gathering up all the puzzle pieces that most people have scattered all over the place. You know, so we need to analyze those individually. But what most people forget is they'll look at one account or another account, like, oh, this account's doing great. But you have to look at everything as an aggregate, right? Everything together, because everything should dance together. In retirement, things should be intentional. They should be cohesive. They should dance and complement each other. So a lot of times I find so much overlap. I find extremely high expense ratios in mutual funds where people are like, whoa, wait a minute, I had no idea. Well, you don't have the software and the knowledge I have to know how to look.
That's right. I want to talk to the first generation of Gen Xers right now. I'm Gen X. Are you Gen X?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be 48 next month. We're cool Gen Xers.
Yeah, we are. You know, we're latchkey kids. Nothing bothers us. We've been through it all.
We are definitely resilient.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
But I want to talk to the Gen Xers, the fellow Gen Xers out there, because the first round of us, well, they're getting ready to retire. And for a lot of those adults, it feels like there's been a lack of education about retirement planning. I want you to hear this clip from TikToker Jenny Embolden, who is a part of the Gen X generation.
Pensions disappeared. My parents didn't have one. I remember hearing about them at my grandparents' generation. But for us, there was no pension. The best we were told was Social Security. Back in the 80s, the 401k was given birth to. But did you receive any information in high school or in college of how a 401k was to be used for retirement? How you were supposed to use that as your tool? No. Back in the 80s, I remember hearing the CDs were all the big ways to make money.
and not just the Case Logic CDs with Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam.
I was like, whoa.
So let's talk to those adults in their 50s who maybe saved in a 401k, but they're never really shown how to turn it into a retirement income plan. Do you find that often that this generation is kind of lost when putting that plan together?
Let me tell you, I was one of those.
Yeah.
You know, prior to going into finance, I invested in 401ks through healthcare hospitals for 20 years almost. You know, I started working in a hospital at 16, and it's a huge deficit because I worked in major hospitals in the Charlotte area, in the Minneapolis area. And yeah, we were saying, oh, here, you've got this 401k. And pretty much all they educated you on was, oh, they'll do a match. But a lot of people don't even realize that if they don't put the money in, they're not going to match it. So that's just free money you're giving away. So there's a huge disconnect because there's no guidance on, well, how much should I actually be saving? Right? That's the big disconnect. I mean, it's some intangible number. You don't even know, should I be putting 10% or whatever of my paycheck in there? And typically the plan administrators are, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but kind of worthless. Right? And in the workplace plans are very, very basic as well. Yeah, on top of that,
that's because a lot of us feel like, oh, they've got our best interest in mind. No, they're not.
Well,
they're
that's what I'm saying. I did too. Yeah. I honestly did too. I thought, okay, I'm putting in, you know, I'm doing the match. This person on the backside is managing my money for me. I'm all well and good, but you know, come to find out that really isn't the case. It's just not most times. So our generation, unfortunately, a lot of people are not prepared.
Yeah,
they haven't saved enough because there aren't pensions. And then, you know, Social Security, who knows what it will be in our lifetime, Mark? I mean, we think about it. I mean, I hope to be around 30 years from now, you know, but will Social Security? I don't know. We're in a lot of debt right now. The national debt is the highest it's ever been. It's crazy. Yeah. It's larger than our actual population.
Yeah.
You know, so you think about all those things.
And on top of that, and not getting all conspiracy theorists here, but the birth rate is just dropping every single year. The next generation, they don't want to have kids, and we need those kids to help pay into Social Security. So they're
not. But think about how expensive it is to have kids. I mean, people are realizing that you just can't make ends meet.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when my kids were little, I was paying $250 a week. Corinne is 16 now, but when she was a baby back in 2010, I had to pay, I think it was like $280, $300 a week. For daycare to be able to go to work. You know, so if you're out and you're only making $20 an hour, $25 an hour, and around here in Myrtle Beach, it's tough. You know, there are not a lot of really good jobs. It's hard. You know, so the answer is just don't spit out any kids so you don't need daycare and problem solved.
Let's talk to the Gen X, the first group getting ready to retire. Is there a certain age? Who is the right person in that Gen X category?
Anybody in the Gen X category that has the wherewithal to say, hey, maybe I should take a look at things and make sure I don't get caught with my pants down. You give me a call, 843-585-5223, and, you know, we'll set up something. Another thing that a lot of people miss in our age bracket is we think that the 401k, the IRA money is the end-all be-all, whereas you should be investing in some other, like brokerage accounts, non-qualified money. That's our tax-efficient money. That's the money that we can use later on. When we want to keep our ordinary income lower so we can do Roth conversions, we can actually get somewhere. But typically what we find is that 401k is that out of sight, out of mind. It never hits my bank account, so I don't see it, so I don't want to spend it.
Right.
So we're stacked too heavily in those type of accounts to where people don't realize. So many people our age, they don't even understand Roth. And what a gold mine that is. Like what a wonderful investment vehicle that is. So I love educating on those type of things because it's lack of education for the most part.
All right, well, give me the quick education on the power of a Roth conversion and why more people aren't taking advantage of it, Amy.
You know, Roth conversions they're not free for starters, you know, so you're basically paying tax today to never have to pay tax again on the principal or the earnings. So think of a Roth account when you're 70. If you have Roth money, you take out $1, you get to keep $1. If you take it out of your IRA, you get to keep whatever the IRS doesn't take first.
Okay.
Same thing with the non-qualified, the brokerage accounts. You get to keep what they don't take after your long-term or short-term capital gains rate, right? So that Roth money, get $1 out, you get to keep $1.
I heard somebody make the analogy once. It's the equivalent of getting a spanking versus getting grounded. Because as kids, we get spanked and it's over with. It hurt right then, but it's done.
I love that analogy. I want to know who came up with that one. That's great, but it is. It hurts.
Yeah.
It does. And I tell my people that. I'm like, listen, these are not free. However, and I have software that I plan it out so I can show you, is there value to it? There are times I look at Roth conversions for people and it just doesn't monetarily make sense. Like, it has to be a good deal.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. You can't just roguely go into and say, oh, I'm going to do Roth conversions. Well, there needs to be a reason to do it. But the younger you start filling that Roth bucket up, because each conversion has a 5-year clock, right? So you can't really touch it for 5 years. So the earlier you start, the better off you are. But then also with Roth conversions, it gets very tricky because most of the time people are making the most money that they've ever made toward the end of their career. You know, it's very common for people to be making $200,000, $250,000 already. Well, that gives me not much to work with to convert in a normal bracket. 22, 24%. We don't want to be converting things up in 30s. That's crazy. So there's a lot to it. So the earlier that you can start structuring your money, funding those Roth accounts, so it's not just having to do Roth conversions, right? Invest, put some money in an actual Roth IRA.
Is there a certain amount that's a right? Can you give me kind of a range? Because we're talking
as much as possible. What I tell people if they call me, I worked with a lot of state and federal employees, and the blanket advice that I give, because obviously, I like to customize things for everybody, but there are Cliff Note versions and just basic advice. But fund the traditional, if your employer is doing a match, so say they're doing 5%, do 5%. Because that's free money. If you don't do 5%, they don't do it either, right? So do your 5. But then if you have extra money that you want to invest, do a Roth 401k. A lot of employers offer Roth as well. They don't tell you about it a lot of times, but they do. And then if your employer doesn't offer a Roth, call me, because we can open up a Roth IRA through Charles Schwab. And depending on your age, there are contribution limits, but max that out. Don't just toss it all in a pre-tax status. But the thing is when we're younger, like raising children and paying $300 a week for daycare, you need to, it seems like a great idea to procrastinate on the taxes because you have more money coming into your household now. But there's so many things that can go wrong for later on, and there's just not enough knowledge and education on how to understand it.
So, Amy, if I want more information about a Roth conversion, and again, spanking, you take the tax hit now, or a grounding where you pay taxes over time. And if you make the phone call and you say, all right, Amy, I want to get spanked with taxes, they'll completely understand what you mean with the Roth conversion. How do we reach out to you and the team at Gold Shield Wealth?
Give us a call at 843-585-5223, but don't call and ask for a spanking. We need to word that different, Mark.
Don't tell any of the team members at Gold Shield Wealth. I just want somebody to call and talk to one of your back office people.
This could go sideways.
Amy said something about a spanking, a tax-free spanking. I don't know what. I just need some income in retirement.
Rob won't know what to say. Poor guy. He'll be like, what on earth is Amy saying on the radio now?
843-585-5223, goldshieldwealth.com. We were talking to the Gen X a couple of minutes ago. We're talking to those adults looking for a tax strategy, always talking to the adults looking for income in retirement. But Amy, who are you talking to the most right now?
My target demographic that I just love working with are people 55 to 80, 85. I just love that age bracket. That's my style. I like to get to know my people. I like to be a part of their life. If they'll let me, I want to be a part of their team. So that's more of the type. But I also truly enjoy helping younger people as well. Love doing that. And I help a lot of my family's kids.
Good.
That's an honor to me when they're like, Amy, do you mind helping my daughter? Or do you mind sitting down with my 24-year-old and just showing them these things? And I take pride in doing that too, because if I can help set a younger person out on the right path, that's a win for me.
And as we talk about family as well, you've said before that you've had some of the families you serve, some of your clients that have their parents move down here from the north to move down to the beach. So you're always offering the second opinion service for those coming from up north.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of the people that come here from up north, it's not that they dislike their advisor. It's just that they want someone that they can sit down with and actually talk to, because, I say it multiple times, but there are 3 phases in retirement, and each phase requires something different. Navigating healthcare issues, just things, tax issues, so many different things. So a lot of times, the generation, they're not really good with Zooming and doing things over the phone. They want to look someone in the eye. They may want a hug. They may need a hug that day. So that it's just a different style that they need. So it's very common to, when they relocate here, they want someone that they can actually sit down with. And I enjoy doing that. So if you're looking for someone like that to just sit down with, give me a call, 843-585-5223, and we'll make you feel right at home here.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Gold Shield Wealth Financial. Gold Shield Wealth is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Gold Shield Wealth Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Gold Shield Wealth Financial and IPW are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Gold Shield Wealth is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gold Shield Wealth. This radio show is a paid placement. Any and all services related to Medicare are an outside business activity and are not offered through or supervised by Impact Partnership Wealth, IPW, LLC. Gold Shield Wealth has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice.